everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. We got 28 wins in a row. Just stay steady. We got 2 HP, we got Book of the Dead, good damage, but bad rate of fire. AN8YSMJT. Superman Justin Timberlake. I don't know, this is in a news reporter voice. Superman Justin Timberlake recently found pogged out of his gourd in the Los Angeles River. Sources say, what the heck is this? Oh, the toilet paper, dude. What have we done? Wait, we gotta roll this. This is better special effects than X-Men Apocalypse. I do think it's kind of bad. We would really rather have our disposable orbitals be orbiting, but it is also kind of hilarious. Yo, okay, I can't hit you. I'm sorry to tell you. This man could be walking down the street. I wouldn't hit a thing. Sorry to this man. He's the greatest dodger of all time. Take that, Don Mattingly. He's a Yankee. Nomar Garcia Parra. Yaziel Puig. I think that's an impression that is good. But has limited relevance to my audience. The voice the announcer uses in a sports game when you imported a custom character or created a custom character. Tears Up, definitely worth it. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Also pretty sweet. And we're off to the races here. Jackson Murphy stepping to the plate. Horatio Superstar. It's because they don't read the line all at once. They separate it so they have to record. I mean, if they had to read the line all at once, they would be recording like billions of possible combinations, right? For every first name, they would need to record all like 1,000 last names as well. That's just ridiculous. So they'd record them separately, so they only have to do 2,000 line reads. The Big Nacho. I'm laying it on a little thick there, I'll admit. By the way, Ragman, can you just, like, get over yourself? Stop showing up on the first floor. There's other bosses, okay? It's not all about you. This dude loves showing up and trying to ruin my runs. Don't you ruin my streak. It's the only one I got. Okay, of course we're gonna Degas this floor. Which actually has the added benefit of purging the curse. But also protecting our deal with the devil interests. So, like, I think Book of the Dead is truly terrible with toilet paper. However, I love the idea if we can just get outrageously stacked on Book of the Dead. Like, if we can kill a room with, like, 20 enemies in it and get a battery charge, or just have a charge, I guess, available, and we start, like... We could just have a bone cloud. You know, like Skeletrex. A fleet of bone cars. Like, now, are you seeing the madness that I'm trying to do here? Like, I'm making my bones dodge. This cannot be good for our long-term health, okay? But this is a unique brand of Zane, the likes of which I don't believe I've ever experienced before. So we will indeed try to take advantage of it. I gotta be honest, I don't see our bones making it out of this room. We'll have to drop toilet paper at some point. It's just like, I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's also like very bad. Like, we look like Earth's orbit in 50 years when all those satellites become defunct and all the space garbage. You know, instead of just being like, it's infinitesimal, we're like, oh, geez, you gotta watch out for that one. There's a big piece coming at 4 p.m. today. That was a big whiff. Yeah, we look like the Pacific Ocean right now. Okay. I think we do take this. And it is, don't get me wrong, very dangerous. Really dangerous. For certain. We do want to open that, but we can't justify it yet. So why would we get this spicy? The idea is, well, a tinted rock on our first room back really goes a long way, for sure. And don't walk through that fire. But the shop, in all likelihood, we're not going to take that just yet. In all likelihood, the shop will have an opportunity to get some spirit hearts as well. So I really think it's hard to give up. Hey, let me put it this way. If I had almost any other item for sale in that shop, I don't think we would have taken it. But in this case, I did. Now, I also took Pokego. Not in the shop, sorry, in the deal with the devil. Because the ability to fly early on has like a hugely multiplicative effect. You know, you get more consumables, you dodge much more easily. There's great stuff going on there. But I took Pokego because I gotta know what happens with Pokego duct tape. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I think you gotta give it a try. You know what? 2 cents. That's fine. At least we know what that pill does in the future. With 5 cents, I don't think we're getting anything from the shop. Because we don't have any means to reroll. 6 cents, maybe. I think what I would actually like the most is a key. So that I can play the boss trap room. You're not going to hear me talk about the boss trap room in such a positive light too frequently, but there's no reroll machine, so I would say that don't worry about it. When I'm talking about a reroll as if it doesn't even exist yet. It's like me saying I hope they serve, you know, sturgeon caviar at my med school graduation. Hey, why are you focused on just, you know, getting a B in organic chemistry before you worry about you putting the cart before the horse? Now, I'm just trying to play this because this is one of those runs, and these are the most dangerous type of Isaac run. When your perception of your ability and safety is way ahead of the reality. That's where you enter that kind of like hubris, you know, Macbeth territory, right? We genuinely have to be fairly concerned about our HP. Now, you are a demon. I will take you, but you're a demon nonetheless. Bumbo, I respect. Bum friends. You never give me your money. You only take all of my purchasing power. Oh, dude, why not? Whoa, okay. This is very, very, very good stuff. We do not want Batwing. Well, I don't know. Maybe Batwing doesn't do much for us, but toilet paper may actually actively be bad, but is also visually interesting, which doesn't happen too often in Isaac these days. So you kind of just take the good with the bad here and hope that you can pog off in the future. But Rune Bag is unbelievably good. Rune Bag is incredible. Ooh, we almost pressed the space bar and would have caused ourselves quite the conundrum. Not pressing it there. Yeah, this is a better room to press it on. Alges, very nice. Puberty, actually totally fine. I think Alges is a savable rune, but if you think you're gonna get hit, you might as well use it. You know, we in all likelihood we will get more Alges runes. This is a tough one. Because both, I mean, playing cards, they just have like one of the most ridiculous feast versus famine mechanics, right? Like almost all of the playing cards, he says, is he uses pills, which are the same philosophy, but that pill was free, so. Almost all playing cards are nearly useless. Well, the majority are nearly useless. Of course, you know, a two of diamonds, a joker, And then in some situations, like other ones can, I think we just popped this, can really benefit you. But you also, like, the number of times you get in there and you're like, oh, a 2 of hearts. Okay, what a waste of my money. And a 2 of diamonds with 1 penny remaining is not going to do too much for us. So, I think we're better off just buying the spirit heart. But the flip side of that, oh, I'm glad we didn't. Because we would have taken succubus, which, I mean, we literally can't take it unless we get a spirit heart from one of these. But I think maybe we've been saved from ourselves. By not getting a spirit heart that allowed us to be ambitious there, I think maybe we've been forced into a situation where we were forced not to make a decision that would have really hurt us. Now, maybe you look at that and you go, he's just trying to make himself feel better. There is no reroll machine. Here's what you do, I think. I think you do this. We're only going to get to 9 cents. That's 10 cents. You got to start with this. And it's a 2 of hearts. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I think we're out of here. This run is still in danger. It may not appear to be, but it is. And we'll try this. I think the time has come, though. As interesting as it is, the run's getting slightly spicier. So I think it's the time to start using Book of the Dead for its actual purpose. And I'll tell you, if we had it working here, it would make one heck of a charge. Lot of enemies are going down. I'm just happy we were able to open all 4 of the chests and still get some keys to work with in the future. So we really still are dealing with pretty poor DPS. I guess, you know, with Head of the Keeper and Bum Friend, there is a nice kind of synergy there. I mean, we would probably for now rather have the money, but if the money drops into a situation where Bum Friend picks it up instead of me because it's too dangerous to go in there, then it is what it is. You know, I'm not gonna be too picky about it. It is getting us something, ideally. The tick, huh? I don't think we can justify it. Not yet, anyway. If nothing else, that room, as slow as it was, should serve to inform you that we are kind of in dangerous territory here. Start with a Hagalaz, dude. You never know what that might get you. A lot of money, almost no money. You're my friend. You were my friend. Hold on, I gotta check a message really quickly. Oh, it's a nice tweet. Somebody tweeted, I think it's impossible for a YouTube channel to update daily with content and have it be interesting or fun. And then immediately they replied to their own tweet and said, just remembered Northernlion LP exists. Disregard this tweet. That's very kind of you. That's the energy we're trying to bring to social media in 2020. Use it as a force for good. You know what? And this is don't take this as an episode where I'm gonna like, oh, I'm complaining about community. Oh, another YouTuber complaining about how easy they got it. But definitely, it's worth bringing up. I think there's been a lot of changes to the YouTube comments. The one that I see, there is a lot of the same comment. The pogs are raining down from the heavens. But there's variations on that, and people are, by and large, although those comments get updated to the extreme, there's also, it's just way more positivity in the comments, and one of the big reasons for that, I think, is because I'm in there. Instead of abandoning my comment section because occasionally it made me feel bad, I decided, you know what, let's create a more, let's try to do our part, at least, to create a more wholesome environment where, you know, not only will I soak up more compliments than criticism, hopefully, but, like, on top of that, it's just a more pleasant place for people to scroll down and read instead of before, where it was just endless, like, sniping at small mistakes. And most people are like, this is a good change. I've seen a lot of comments that are like, NL. I very much appreciate that the comment section is nicer now, you know, especially during these uncertain times. And I think this is giving me too much credit, I'll admit, but especially during these uncertain times, you know, your videos have been a source of consistency to help me out in my routine. We gotta take it. Even though Black Rune is tempting, we gotta take it there. And, you know, you can't really get much more flattering than that. It's an incredibly flattering comment to begin with. Did we not open a chest back in that room back? I think we didn't. Anyway, I wanna keep my line of reasoning as we get up here, because I think it's worth pointing out. There are a contingent of people I've noticed that are like, I hate that the comments section is like so positive now. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I've seen it a lot on Reddit as well. Here's the thing. And I've talked about this before. Dan and I have talked about it a lot. I do think there are content creators who moderate their chat and their comment section in a way that I feel is... we probably should have Black Runed that, huh? In a way that I feel is... I'm just trying to think of the right word. Because it's not unfair. You know, it's their little box on the platform. They can handle their content however they wish. But I think it's kind of petty, maybe is the word. Or maybe, I don't know. It's just overly strict moderation versus like what I would use for myself. And I have, and Dan and I have talked about this a lot. You know, I think it does create a situation where to some extent people are afraid to talk because they're worried that even polite constructive criticism can be taken as toxicity. And, you know, it's bad for a number of reasons. When your community is afraid to talk, you know, they're not talking as much. You're getting less engagement, which not only is like algorithmically bad no matter what platform you're on, I think, but also just makes you feel bad when you like release content or stream and nobody's talking. You realize nobody's talking because they're afraid if you say like, hey, just so you know, you missed something you'd really like 2 steps ago, that you're gonna get banned and yeeted into the stratosphere. So I definitely think people have a heavy hand in that situation. But the difference here is that I do moderate chat and comments a little, but it's not like constructive criticism. It's really like maybe like 1 out of every 80 comments on YouTube is just, and I know the avatars and I know the names. Like, I'll see, like, 1 really bad comment from a person and be like, they must be having a bad day. And then 2 days later, I'll see the same avatar pop up and be like, nope, just a bad life, I guess. And, you know, I try to remove it, not because I want to make that person feel bad, more because I don't want the 5,000 people that scroll down to read it and get angry. I think that's, you know, allowing someone to be kind of like a psychic vampire in my comments, which is, non-conducive to setting up a good environment. What I do instead is I, you know, just give more attention to the positive comments. And positive comments, I feel like this is where people get lost a lot of the time. Ooh, the mom transformation. A positive comment is not exclusively a comment that is like, I love you, blah, blah, blah. It can be good constructive criticism as well. What I end up seeing a lot of, and I have sympathy for it, is people give criticism that they seem to think is constructive, but is actually phrased very rudely. And then when somebody else gets attention, they go, oh, but I guess we don't allow criticism here. I was just trying to help. And I'm like, maybe it seemed like you were trying to help, but in actuality, the way the tweet reads to me, the person that the subject of the tweet is about, is that you were using a mistake that I made as an opportunity to try to get internet thumbs up on YouTube. It doesn't mean I'm going to delete the comment as long as it's not over the line. It just means, you know, I'm probably going to reply to the person who was like, hey, love the video. Just so you know, here's a mechanic you missed. Way more likely that I'm going to reply to, like, Angle Bracket says he's trying his best, and then 15, 17 into the video, makes a mistake. How am I expected to believe that this guy's actually trying his best? So that's my philosophy on that. Reddit's a little different, in my opinion, because you might be saying, like, a lot of constructive criticism has been spotlighted on Reddit recently, and it's kind of blown up and led to some toxicity. I think that's just the nature of Reddit, honestly. Like, that platform is, like, designed to facilitate conversation, and conversation about an issue that people can disagree with leads to a lot of mean-spirited arguments in 2020. That's the way I've seen it evolve, at least. Does anybody think it would be cool if NL's thumbnails were a little bit different? Totally fine. But then when it gets 800 upvotes, 400 comments, and then you... Really, I have to be fair. It's just a couple people poisoning the well for everybody else. And I think you have to draw a line. Dan and I talked about this on Check the Wire, but I think you have to draw a line between, like, toxicity and constructive criticism. Constructive criticism, even if it makes you feel bad, and even if it's worded a little rudely, is not toxic in my mind. Toxic is people who are just exclusively watching to, like, hate watching comment. Which is... But, you know, this is gonna sound weird while we're going deep here. When people are, like, insanely toxic, it's a lot easier for me to be sincerely empathetic. Because I'm like, man, I've, at least not for, you know, 20 years, have I been at a point in my life where I'm like, for a year, I'm gonna daily watch every video a person makes and be like, you know, I hate it and here's why, you know? That's a situation where I think I'm empathetic because I'm like, something's going on in your life, not to be presumptuous, but, you know, something clearly is you're unhappy with, and you're using me as an outlet to get some of that frustration out. But, you know, you don't realize that you could be putting that energy into a good place, but I guess, you know, the way you would rather do it is, like, I hate this guy playing digital toys on the internet, which is almost as weird as playing with digital toys on the internet in the first place, I suppose. The constructive criticism that's phrased rudely actually, in a way, makes me more upset because I'm like, you're so close. It's selfish, I'll admit, but the reason it's worse is because, like, you ever see that that Onion article that's like, heartbreaking, the worst person you know just made a really good point. It's not, the people leaving these comments are not the worst people I know. Because I'm friends with Malf. I'm just kidding. He's a great guy. But it's like, you know, you've made me feel bad, and yet simultaneously in your post, there's really good information in there. Thank you. I appreciate it. I guess we'll just buy Spider Mod. Could have done better there. But it's like, why, when you wrote that thing, instead of writing it in a mean way and forcing me to be like, you're right, why didn't you just take 2 seconds and Grammarly it and write it in a nice way, and then we all could have been happy instead of me being salty? You know, you get the idea. But anyway, that's, you know, we've been working on community this year. It goes through ebbs and flows. I like, have a compulsion. Maybe a compulsion is not the right word, but I've, you know, I visit the communities of other YouTubers and streamers, and I think they run the gamut. I think that the NLSS community, the Northernlion community, is actually really good. But I also do recognize elements of some other communities in mine. And I think, you know, a lot, I've gone back and forth on this. I think a lot of content creators choose to distance themselves from their, like, community platforms for a couple of reasons. The big one, honestly, and I believe this no matter what someone might say about, like, I think they should just have a place where they can talk without me seeing it. I think that's, like, PR. That's my 2 cents, at least. But I think the big reason is because it hurts sometimes. Just to be straight up with you. This is a secret room right here. Hold on, I know we're on real talk, but, you know, if you read your own subreddit, you're gonna read some stuff that makes you feel bad. But the reason that, you know, I want to be in there is because when I look at the unmoderated platforms about YouTubers and streamers, I'm like, oh my god. I'll just leave it at oh my god, but I'm like, man, you gotta stay on top of, I mean, keep your head screwed on straight in the first place, but then secondarily, like, I like having my voice in the mix. That way, like, if something starts to blow up, like, I don't know, thumbnail discourse, instead of the narrative becoming whatever the top comment was, which is something like, I don't see why he won't put in 5 minutes to make his content better, the top comment becomes my comment where I defend myself with, like, an honest defense, which is basically like, hey, thanks for your feedback. To be honest with you, I think some of these other designs are not particularly that conducive, but you know, I can at least hear the nugget of truth in this, which is people are annoyed by some of the thumbnails and they find them non-distinctive, and we can work on that ourselves to make it better. And that's, you know, it leads to a situation where I take a huge L when I wake up at 9:30 a.m. and go to my subreddit and realize that there's like, you know, 200 posts that are kind of not mean-spirited, like really only a small percentage are even slightly mean-spirited. And I take a legitimate amount of comfort in knowing that the ones that are like largely not people trying to be rude, but people that just are not good at being nice. For whatever, they haven't practiced it. They spend too much time online where being mean is kind of like the currency. So yeah, I think having your own ability, not to shape the narrative, because I think that comes across in a negative way, but at least having your own, you know, voice out there also helps, you know? And I think you can respond to stuff without being rude. But the reason I brought this up, like, people were very nice when I responded to, you know, why have there been less NLSSs lately? And I was like, well, you know, on Mondays, we've had, like, a situation where there's been, like, you know, a medical emergency with one of the streamers involved. So, like, at the last minute, we were like, oh, we can't do an NLSS today, so we'll just play some Warzone, which is the genesis of that thread to begin with. And then, like, on Wednesdays, Robert's on, but Robert's computer has been exploded for, like, 2 weeks. Well, actually, like, a month and a half at this point, so that's, like, why Wednesdays have been jacked up. And Thursdays, I'll admit, I've just been experimenting with more solo stuff. I think we still take Black Rune. We're gonna make this work at some point. Whereas if you don't get in there, you know, people start to form their own stories about what's happening in their head. That's my thoughts on it. But really, I'm just surprised, and in a way, again, a little sympathetic that there is a contingent of people who are like, yeah, people are nice now, but I prefer the days when it was mean. It's not venting. It's more just like, you know, I never thought I'd see it. I guess is the real reaction that I had. And I'm like, I recognize you. And I go into the post history and it's all meanness. And I'm like, I see why you miss it. Karma was flowing out of control back then. Nowadays, you gotta put on a happy face and treat people with respect. And it's just ridiculous these days. People are so sensitive. Can't even call them bad words without them being like, don't do that, please. It's ridiculous today. What I meant to say is, there's something wrong with the world today. If we're talking best lyrics in rock music history, one of them has to be Steven Tyler from Livin' on the Edge. And I quote, "There's something right with the world today, and everybody knows what's wrong. But you can get us, and you can do. Every time he says that, it's just speaking like he's speaking right to me. I do want to defend, to some extent, myself and other YouTubers, by the way. You might be saying, why do YouTubers talk so much about being YouTubers? It's because it's like, it's what we know, I guess. We don't know much of anything else. I mean, there's some YouTubers who are like, you know, I went to MIT, now I'm a YouTuber. Quit bragging. They're always talking about, like, space stuff and being smart. You gotta speak to what you know. What I know a lot about is sitting in front of my computer, talking smack. Well, not really talking smack. Just playing a lot of Isaac, really. Dude, excuse me. I'm just gonna close my door. I just need to finish this room, then I'll be closing the door. You might be able to hear the low electric whir of the vacuum cleaner. So can I. Alright, here we go. One moment. There we go. But you can't hold it against YouTubers, you know, especially, like, a lot of YouTubers who don't speak about what they know end up getting in a lot of trouble. Because you're like, I got famous for playing video games, and then someone's like, hey, Tim the Gamer, how do you feel about the Israel-Palestine conflict? And they're like, I don't know, someone asked me, I've got no choice but to answer. And they end up being like, you know, getting themselves into a lot of trouble because they're outside their lane and have no idea what they're talking about. So when YouTubers talk a lot about being a YouTuber community management, you know, it's not necessarily being high on their own farts, you know, it's more just like when you don't have a specific anecdote, which nobody does because we're inside all the time right now, you default to what you know, in the same way, like, we've all had a friend went on a foreign exchange to, like, you know, New Zealand for a couple months. And then when they came back, they're like, you know, in New Zealand, they call it a Barbie instead of a barbecue. And you're like, yeah, I know. You've been saying that for like 6 months. Please, I got nothing against New Zealand. I'm just saying, like, we get it. You went to New Zealand for your thing. You've already exhausted all of the New Zealand information I could have possibly asked for in the first place. I get it. They're like us in Canada, but like they do things slightly differently, and we do things slightly differently to them. Like, I'm over it, you know. But they're speaking to what they know, so you got to understand at least where it's coming from. I'm willing to take a shot at this. I'm about to risk it all. Rolling in the deep. Here's some constructive criticism that I'm not looking forward to, but will accept quite readily, by the way. Hey, NL, thought it was pretty effed up that, like, one of your Isaac episodes had its screen region off by 20%, so I couldn't see what was happening at the top of the screen, and the bottom of the screen was just a big black bar. Hey, that's... oh, hey, now. Oh, no toxicity, please. No, that one's legitimate, all right? Hey, NL, you're looking a little bit thicker in quarantine. How's your cut going? Look, that's constructive criticism. You're not wrong. I'm getting back into it. I've been doing the work. Look, honestly, the workouts have been going well. The diet has been poor. I'll admit to that 100%. I'm having, like, that summer vacation kind of... It's not FOMO, but you know, like, every summer vacation in high school or college, like, somebody comes back and they've lost 20 pounds and they're, like, tanned and jacked. And you're like, well, I just, like, ate a lot of the snack food in my parents' house because I didn't have to buy it for myself for once. You know? That's how I feel right now, is like, I could have done better on quarantine. I think I did okay. And however you gotta make it through within reason, I think is fine. I'm excited for the gym to open back up. It's supposed to open June 1st, but I'm also like I don't legally... I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go. And I know I talked about this recently, but I read through, like, the British Columbia provincial guidelines more, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's illegal or just frowned upon, but, like, the way my gym is set up, it is almost impossible to be 2 meters away from anybody else. Like, there's barely 2 meters between the squat racks that face each other. There's not 2 meters between adjacent squat racks. And then, God forbid, like, the squat racks are set up in kind of like a hallway sort of setup, so there's like a corridor between them, where you walk to get to other parts of the gym. If somebody's on a squat rack, and somebody's on the squat rack facing them, and you have to walk through that area to get to, like, you know, the part of the gym that you need to go to, you're gonna be like 2 feet away from each of them. So, definitely, I'm not saying, you know, by walking that close to somebody, you're gonna catch the virus. All I'm saying is that for the provincial guidelines to be, and you could, let's put it that way, you could, but for the provincial guidelines to be met the way my gym is set up is, like, impossible. And then they're also talking about, like limiting the capacity to the gym so that only, like, you know, like, if you've been to a grocery, depending on where you live, I guess, but if you've been to a grocery store or like a pharmacy, really any kind of retail store, you know, they have, like, a capacity maximum where they only allow in, you know, like, X amount of people. And here's the thing. I want to be very clear. I'm not arguing in bad faith that, like, come on, man. I'm, like, it's a good idea, but I am also, like, I feel like my gym should not charge me. Because my gym was, like, it's not that big, and is also pretty busy. I do want to say part of the reason for this is, like, I did pay for a full year's membership in January. And I felt like in the before times, that made a lot of sense. Because I was like, hey, I've been working out for more than a year consistently, so I know I've got the habit in me, for one. And secondarily, you know, when I prepay for a full year, like, a month is a little different. Maybe with a month, you stop going on, like, the 3rd, and you're like, whatever, I'll just go back next month. I'm losing whatever amount of money, I can live with it. But a year, you're like, I paid, like, through the nose for this. So I want to go. But, like, if they put capacity on the gym to make it so that you know, only X amount of people can get in. I feel like the number of people in the gym at any given time is going to be like a maximum of 10, which every time I'm at the gym, in the before times, there were like 30 people there. And then there's like another sort of system people are talking about. I guess I shouldn't worry about it too much until it becomes like a real, until I see the guidelines that our gym's going to use. But the other thing I saw is like, you can book a time, or like when you get to the gym, you check in with a phone number, and then they text you when you're good to come in, like when capacity is available for you to come in. And I'm like, dude, I can't do that. I mean, I can, but like, and I'm not the only person in this boat, but like, I got work to do, you know? I can't go to the gym at like 9 a.m. and then, you know, sit around in my car for an hour waiting for capacity to open up and then go work out for an hour and a half, you know? And again, I want to be clear, I literally can, but it's so inconvenient as to, in my opinion, I don't want to say it's not worth it, but at some point I will say that the worth is diminished, you know? It's always, I mean, I was going to say it's always worth it to work out, but no, that's not true. There are exceptions, you know, like if you're injured, working out is going to be worse for you. And, you know, as much as you know, your physical health is obviously important, and working out is great for your mental health as well. I've noticed, like, I really feel like a lot of people are suffering in quarantine. Just, you know, isolation, routine being broken, stuff like that. And particularly a lack of exercise. I know it weighs on me sometimes, too. That's why I try to just do what I can with these freaking dumbbells. But, you know, if it takes, if it starts to take 2.5 hours to complete a 1-hour workout, then becomes a lot harder to justify, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But I also, again, as I mentioned, I mean, we're not going to do a whole episode. I mean, it's been a long episode. I'm not going to apologize, but, you know, we're crossing over multiple boundaries here as the run gets longer and longer. I don't want to make this another episode entirely about my gym specifically. It's more just like, you know, I have sympathy for them. Like, a lot of it. Because they're really running, like, short of maybe running a movie theater or, like, a party boat, like a booze cruise. I think it's one of the worst businesses to have been in when the virus hit. And also, like, it's, you know, restaurants when they open back up, it sucks, don't get me wrong. The margins in restaurants are already so thin. And then, on top of that, yeah, good Ansus, dude. Good Ansus. On top of that, you know, they're going to be some of the last places to open up. And then when they open up, they're like, you can't be within touching distance of somebody else, which is very difficult. Please, I would like to go to the boss fight. Don't use your orbital this... What hit me? Get out of here, Stinky. So it's tough. But I am also at the same time, I'm like, man, this gym is gonna suck. I think all gyms are gonna be worse. Like, what was the #1 problem with gyms before? Well, I was gonna say it's too busy. I think that it's still gonna be busy. The only thing is there's gonna be half as much equipment because of the fact that some of it's gonna be like cordoned off. Well, we're gonna save a spirit heart for leaving anyway. Oh my god. Dude, just... What's happening? Get me out of here. Don't hit me! Let's go. But I am like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to gauge like the timbre of it from online discourse, but it seems like people online are like, you know, it'll be a long time before I go back to the gym, and I'm like, I don't think so. I bet it's gonna be busy. I bet it's gonna be very busy. You know, the movies are whatever. People can go like years, even in the before times. Sometimes we talk about movies on the NLSS, and people would be like, I haven't been to a movie theater since Inception came out. And I'm like, dude, you went 10 years without seeing a movie. That's incredible. In theaters, at least. But people can wait on going to the movies. If anything, people might be movied out once they're able to go outside. They're like, I've been watching so much on Netflix and, you know, various services that... That was not a euphemism, by the way. I meant Hulu. I didn't mean whatever gross stuff you guys have been watching. People can go without movies for a bit. Go without movie theater, at least. Working out, people are going to be leaving quarantine looking like, you know... Thanksgiving. Not looking like they look after Thanksgiving, but looking like the actual holiday of Thanksgiving. Just like bloated and blemished and... Not everybody, just me. Bloated and blemished and, you know, ragged. They're gonna be like, I gotta get back in that gym right away. We had barely started to get rid of the new... Well, get rid of is a terrible way to phrase that. The gyms had barely recovered from the New Year's resolutioners. And now we're going to get that combined with the quarantine. There's got to be a good word for it. COVID curlers? I don't know. Help. But anyway, all of this, again, I do want to couch this in the notion that it's... an extreme first world problem that, again, I'm like, every day I take perspective. I'm like, you know, I'm safe, my family's safe, my job is unaffected. Just having like those three things is, I don't know if it puts me in the minority, but it makes me feel lucky for sure. This is where we win the run, by the way. These weird plays right here with 40 bombs is where we justify the rest of our orbital usage over the rest of the cathedral. Oh my god, are you kidding me? One spirit heart out of like 10 fires? Okay, two is a little bit more in keeping here. I don't know what happened to this run, by the way. It was like... It was pretty okay for a bit. It's not like bad, but it just kind of... I think maybe I went a long time without getting just about anything worth anything. So we're using a second level Meat Boy as our predominant source of damage dealing. I kind of think I should have stuck with Book of the Dead. But it is what it is, you know? We didn't. We thought Tammy's Head would give us a progressive, or a much needed damage boost instead of like a cumulative damage boost that we might never get to. With two very kind of like comfortable but not easy runs recently. They're putting us on edge as we head into, you know, potentially win 30 here. I don't want to act like this one's over, but it's in a really, really good spot. Without a doubt. So I think we should be... Really, I think if I was a smarter man, I would have bombed my way out of this room about 5 minutes ago. But I will never be accused of being clever. Good memory? Maybe. Clever? When Mystery Sack gives you a penny. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, get out of there! He's got an angry voice. So I'm learning. I'm learning that, you know, with 28 bombs and not being able to bomb our way out of rooms on the next floor, ooh, it's not bad. We love bombing our way out of spicy rooms on this floor. Even this one, I'll use 2 bombs. I'll come back through this. Oh, we don't need to. And there is a secret room here. Probably right there. Okay, what do we want to see? I don't know, man. A golden chest with Cricket's head? I got called out justifiably recently. Here's some constructive criticism. NL said a golden chest, the only good damage item it could give you is Steven. Has he just forgotten about the existence of Cricket's head? In that moment, I did. Thank you for reminding me. Now, I won't say what I used to say, which is... I'll never forget. I think we're just gonna black rune this. Thank God we got luck and shot speed. Perhaps the 2 most vital statistics that could possibly be buffed here. Probably should have saved it for the chest, but has been burning a hole in my pocket for a long time, honestly. So I thought this was a good moment for us to maybe try to make it happen. You may think I'm putting on airs here. I for real think this one still has a loss way closer to like the tip of my... I don't know what I'm even trying to describe here. I was gonna make a joke about like tasting wine. It's like closer to the top of my palate than ever before, but like genuinely, I think we look like we're in a great spot right now, but really lack a lot of herding power. Although we are doing better against Blue Baby than I would have thought, or Isaac than I would have thought. Like the fact that he only shoots like twice, and oh, actually he's going for a second phase that time. That's usually my indicator of like where we're at here, damage-wise. Can I tell you, everybody wants to believe they're a super taster. Here's my impression of every human being, myself included, when they read an article. Are you a blank? 5% of the world's population is a blank. They read the article and go, oh, that's me. 100%. Who would have thought every single one of these rare things applies specifically to me? Thank God. Thank God for Ansus. That's a joke, by the way, in case you're an audio-only listener. We have the curse that doesn't let you see the map. I will tell you with authority, I am not a super taster. I am not somebody who can taste all of the subtle flavors of something. I have a sense of taste. Hello? And you know, big flavors, obviously, like spicy, of course. Garlic, yes, without a doubt. You know, I know what things taste like, but I'm not, when I drink like, and it's about palates. You know, there are people that think like all beer tastes the same. And I'm like, that's just madness to me. Then I will go and say something like, all wine tastes the same. You know, it's something equally ignorant is what I'm trying to say. But I watched a video on YouTube. Sometimes, like at night, when I'm done my work, you know, Kate will be watching YouTube. And she'll be scrolling through like her homepage. And I'll be like, oh, watch that. I'll be the worst kind of helper. Instead of letting her choose what she wants to watch, I'll be like, yo, let's watch that one. And it was a video of a self-proclaimed coffee expert trying, in a blind taste test, trying to guess which coffee was, you know, expensive and which coffee was cheap. And, of course, and I'm getting a little nervous here, don't get me wrong, I went into the video thinking the man's going to be batting like 600 at best. You know, he's going to get 2/3 right at best. Wouldn't you know it? He went 8, well, it wasn't even 8 for 8, it was like 12 for 12. We'll go back for this. If we get down to 1, we have to go back for it. That's actually a huge get. We would have preferred some awesome source of damage, but it's still nice. And he was teaching me things about coffee I ain't ever thought of before in my entire life. He's like, you know, oh, I'm looking at this roast, and because it's a darker roast, usually it's cheaper. People tend to, or companies tend to roast their coffee darker if it's a lower quality coffee because it masks some of the imperfections. And I was like, whoa, dude, I had no idea. All this time, I thought I liked dark roasted coffee, but it turns out I'm an idiot. So he's like, by default, this one's probably cheaper. And he was right. But then he was getting into some stuff. He was like, look at this. In this grind, or in these beans, there's like some half-broken beans. Great coffee companies don't do that. They tend to give you exclusively the full bean. And I was like, man, that makes sense, but I never thought about it. Also, like, almost every coffee I've ever purchased in my entire life has, like, half beans and little nuggets of coffee bean in it. So obviously I'm buying some garbage. Then after that, he looked at 2 identical coffees and was like, you see how this one has a silver skin on it? And I was like, no. I mean, yeah, obviously. And he's like, that tends to indicate a lighter roast and also some freshness. And wouldn't you know it, the man was right again. He bodied him. It was amazing. I was stunned. That man is a super taster. He even, like, he was calling out ones where he's like, I'm pretty sure that this one is not a multi-origin coffee, but is from a single farm. And they're like, you got it. And then another one, he was like, I'm pretty sure that this one is specifically from this region in Panama. And I'm like, this man is incredible. Somebody get this. I would watch this man taste 2 coffees every single day and give his thoughts on it. And he was so matter of fact. He didn't have much of an ego about it at all. He was just like, this is how it is, you know? It was great. I would recommend it. I can't think of anything about its metadata to actually give you a title to recommend, but if you ever come across it in your algorithmic YouTube scrolling, highly recommend. Coffee expert tries to tell difference between good and bad coffees. Okay, Algiz is like your secondary lifesaver after 9 lives. How did we get here on this run? You know, I was gonna finish this run. I might even be able to do another one before the stream today. Could have made myself some lunch. Now I'm in like full leftovers territory. What's this again? Hanged Man. Of course, Hanged Man, the most useful of all the cards right now. Thank you, thank you. I do appreciate that. Emperor. Okay, this is good. I didn't want to get rid of Algiz to use the Emperor. Oh, you know what the insidious thing is? If we had used the Emperor, we never would have known we were so close to the room. That's the kind of thing that'll keep you up at night, right? Double Algiz is great, but really we're just popping this and getting in here like ASAP. Oh my word, dude. Okay, this was not as spicy as it could have been, but it ended up working out. Is this cat's causing you problems?
3 hours of constant
The look on my wife's face, if I could put it in the video, it was like, oh, I just almost looked at the camera as if it was even on. Ruka, what's up, buddy? Anyway, I can't believe we spent so long on that run, but we got it done for now. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal, of course, and really helps me keep things going on YouTube. If you enjoyed all 51 minutes and 31 seconds, please do click the like button. Apart from that, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!